Being 7 o'clock, we call the meeting to order. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Talentino.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Those with cell phones, if they would please put them on vibrate or turn them off, we would appreciate it. Item B, proclamations and recognitions. We have none at this point, so we'll go to C, the public comment. If there is anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment on a schedule or on an agenda item, you have 3 minutes to do so. When that item comes up, we'll call on you, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment on a agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Troyer.
Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of February 4th, 2019. Item 2, approval of the City Commission special goal setting meeting minutes of February 11th, 2019. Item 3, acceptance of the Airport Advisory Board meeting minutes of January 10th, 2019. Item 4, acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation meeting minutes of January 8, 2019. Item 5, acceptance of Police Fire Pension Board meeting minutes of January 15, 2019. Item 6, authorization for out-of-state travel by the city manager for the cruise, the Great Lakes Coalition annual event. Item 7, authorization to purchase generic time from Michigan Municipal Employees Retirement System by Kristen Collins. Item 8, approval of contract amendment and budget amendment for Bingham Avenue Bridge CPM project. And item 9 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Okay, thank you. On the item 6, I'd just like the city manager just to mention briefly about the cruise ships that have shown some interest in the area.
Certainly, thank you, Mayor. Within recent weeks, with the additional interest that has been generated with the award of the build grant and the anticipated reconstruction of the Carbide dock, the city has been contacted by a major cruising company that is very interested in expanding its activities on the Great Lakes. The reconstructed dock wall would serve as a critical point in their itinerary, and in discussions with the Vice President of Travel Michigan, David Lorenz, there's been a lot of discussion about how the Sioux can prepare itself to receive this level of cruise ship activities after the reconstruction of the dock wall. So really taking advantage of the economic impact that comes along with the cruise ships, with each passenger bringing up to $150 in economic output for the community. How to leverage that, and that is what was recommended to the city, is to have a presence in the Cruise the Great Lakes Coalition.
Okay, thank you. Is there a commissioner that would like something further explained on the consent agenda? Okay. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F, communications. 1, from Community Housing Network Incorporated, request for a payment in lieu of tax ordinance, proposed Malcolm Commons project.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. As commissioners are aware, the Sioux Area Public Schools issued a request for proposals for the disposition of the Malcolm School Building and grounds located on West Spruce Street in the fall of 2018. In response to the RFP issued by the Sioux Area Public Schools, Community Housing Network, based in Troy, Michigan, submitted the included response dated October 30, 2018. As outlined within the response to the RFP issued by Sioux Area Public Schools, CHN offered a purchase price of $400,000 to acquire the Malcolm School grounds in order to facilitate a development that would adaptively reuse the existing school building and result in the construction of new units on the surrounding property. CHN is proposing to construct a total of 37 one- and two-bedroom units through a combination of housing tax credits and private equity investment. CHN tentatively plans to create the housing for local workers and seniors, as to be determined through a market study to be initiated and completed by the developer. It is the understanding of City administration that the purchase agreement between CHN and the schools would provide CHN with an opportunity to secure low-income housing through August 2019, low-income housing tax credits through MISHDA through August of 2019, excuse me. As commissioners are aware, the city would need to adopt a payment in lieu of tax ordinance in support of the proposed development for CHN to be eligible to obtain these incentives from the state. Presently, the Zoning Board of Appeals is scheduled to consider this project at its February 21st meeting, with the Planning Commission reviewing the project during its February 28th meeting. Review by the Zoning Board of Appeals is required due to a requested variance for parking spaces, as the ordinance calls for 74 parking spaces and 52 parking spaces have been proposed. It should be noted that the proposed use for the property would be entirely residential. On a closely related note, CHN has also confirmed that it has come to an agreement on terms for the acquisition of property situated on Ashman Street, which could be developed to include a commercial component as well as possible market-rate residential housing. As noted by CHN during a November 12, 2018 work session, the development of this other property would be financially supported in part through CHN's proposed Malcolm School property development. A signed notarized letter submitted by CHN on this matter has been included. A payment in lieu of tax ordinance has been drafted for consideration by the City Commission. The ordinance has been reviewed by both MISHDA and the City Attorney and would need to be adopted by the City Commission in order for CHN to be eligible to secure low-income housing tax credits from MISHDA. A proposed municipal services agreement has also been included for review by the Commission. The MSA would require an annual payment in the amount of $7,000 directly from CHN to the city for the provision of services and to partially recognize the administrative burden the city experiences for administering payment in lieu of tax structures. Each year following the initial payment of $7,000 to the city, the amount included with the MSA would increase at a fixed rate of 1%. The payment in lieu of tax ordinance itself includes an ordinance-based municipal service charge equivalent to 7% of the annual shelter rents actually collected by the project during each operating year. The payment in lieu of tax ordinance would remain in effect and would not terminate as long as a mortgage loan remains outstanding and unpaid on the project and the project remains subject to the income and rent restrictions established by MISHDA. The City Attorney has also included a provision within the draft ordinance stating that the ordinance would be automatically repealed should the sponsor not commence site construction within 3 years of the ordinance's effective date. Information supplied by CHN projects that a 7% service charge would generate $4,382 in revenue for the city and $10,224 in revenue for all other local taxing units. It is projected by CHN that the city would generate revenue approximating $11,382 per year between both the ordinance and the municipal services agreement. Should a first reading of the included ordinance be approved, CHN is requesting that the ordinance be adopted by the City Commission during the March 4th, 2019 regular meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I'm sorry, Commissioner Twardy, you had a question.
Yeah, I just have a question for the city attorney. So as CHN moves forward with this project and after completion, KMG Prestige and my sister Kelly Beach is planning on being the property manager. And so I'm wondering if I should abstain from discussion or vote.
Who's going to be the manager?
My sister Kelly Beach, but she works for KMG Prestige, and I believe that they are going to be the management property.
So she works for a potential subcontractor?
Correct.
You must vote.
Thank you.
For disclosing.
Thank you.
I guess Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I too as well have a question for the city attorney as far as working for the community foundation. Should I be voting as well?
Community Foundation, my understanding is that you are just an employee.
Yes.
You're not on the board.
No, sir.
You're allowed, or you must vote.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. With us tonight, we have C.J. Felton and Alan Martin, who we're planning to present to the City Commission.
Okay. Evening, CJ. Welcome back.
Thank you. Evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City staff. Thank you for having us back. I think all of the information the City Manager included is very comprehensive. I do want to we brought several of our team with us tonight. I think it's important that you know who some of these folks are that we plan on having play an integral role in this. You've met Al Martin before. He's in the back row there. First trip up here, my colleague Al Wolschlager, who's our housing development manager, and he's the guy that does all the maps and the facts and the figures and all that. We also have Kelly Beach with KMG Prestige. They will be our property manager of both the Malcolm and the Ashman properties. And as well, I think you all know Debbie Jones with the Chippewa County Community Foundation. We've had since we were here 4 weeks ago, a lot has happened here. There's been a ton of snow.
You noticed it.
Couldn't help but notice. We've had 3 significant things that have happened in the last 4 weeks. One, we do now have a fully executed option agreement with Sioux Area Public Schools that is in place. I think you are all, as part of the agenda packet, saw that. We also, about 10 days ago, we now have a fully executed purchase agreement for the 724 Ashman property. Not being from here, I guess this is apparently a big deal, or so we've been told. We're very excited about that. That is going to be market rate housing with commercial down on the street level. It is contingent upon being able to secure the funding for the Malcolm project. We really need both of these things to go concurrently to be able to do that. But we're excited about that. And thirdly, we've had some very substantial conversations with the Community Foundation about their participation as in our ownership group with the Malcolm project. And I think it's fair to say there's some interest in participating on the Ashman project as well. We think it's vital that we have a local partner here that can be an advocate for the work that we do. Eyes and ears, boots on the ground, so to speak, and somebody right here every day that has a stake in the success of both developments. We're really, really happy about that. With that, I will take any questions that you might have.
Just a comment. Thank you for your diligence in preparation. I know it's been 4 weeks, but as you said, a lot has gone on, and that is I think having the option to purchase the property on Ashman, in my mind, speaks volumes of your commitment to the area, the development of that property. You listen to the commission, I think, about the market rate units, and all your properties are already market rate when you look at least some of them are, because some of the units will be because of the income levels that you get, or the rental levels that you get for the properties. But no, it's and I think the partnership with a local entity that's well respected is another really good thing. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention too that has happened. We are seeking historic designation on both properties. The school has moved along very quickly because we need that for the application for MISTA. It looks as if that is going to work. I know Dr. Hall is very pleased with the idea that the school can be honored in that way by being on the National Historic Register. We think it's appropriate as well. And we're seeking the same on the Ashman property. It's got, I don't know if any of you have seen some of the pictures from back in like the 40s, but that was a super neat property. And what the historic will allow us to do is restore the facade of the building to its original character.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, the building next to it that burned down was a heck of a historic, could have been a really nice historic structure also. But in this community, we've had a number of fires that have taken down some really very good buildings, but that happens, I guess. So thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Tuardi?
Like, I guess not really any questions. I just, again, want to thank you for your due diligence. I just wanted to more make some comments for the commission and then probably for the public, because I mean, my sister probably told you I have been pretty vocal about pilots in the past. I do feel a little bit differently about this project for a couple of reasons. I am really interested in historical redevelopment, and I really appreciate you moving forward with getting historical status on this property. And I think it would be really great for people to be able to live in a building that used to be a school for quite some time, actually, until about last year. So I am in favor of this project because this property has been sitting on zero tax collection in a no tax zone for quite some time, ever since its existence. And so for us to be able to move that off of that and to move it into an availability where we're collecting the MSA and we are collecting a pilot on there, I appreciate you looking at properties like that. So I am in favor of this project, and it's not just because you did hire the best management property company, in my opinion, and the best person to manage it for you.
We're really excited to work with them. We've got another property management group that we work with in Southeast Michigan, but it would be very difficult for them to come and establish what KMG has already have set up here, and so we think it's a terrific partnership.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we need a motion. That's Commissioner Gary.
Make a motion to approve a first reading of the included ordinance and return the ordinance to the March 4th, 2019 regular meeting for consideration on adoption.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
No.
Commissioner Talentino?
No.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're into item number G, which is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1, and the only item under the published city manager's report, is authorization of approval for the Department of Public Works salt and sand storage structure budget and design contract amendment. As commissioners are aware, City Administration has been working on the design of a new salt shed at the Department of Public Works site. Previously, it was believed the Michigan Department of Transportation would fund a portion of the building as the city stores salt used on state trunk lines at the facility. With expected MDOT participation, the proposed design initially was an MDOT standard shed. Over the past year, the city has learned that MDOT has prioritized other salt storage facilities throughout the state and does not plan to participate in the cost of building a new facility on site. Since learning of this decision, city engineer and public works departments, along with the city's design consultant, OHM advisors, have been exploring alternative and less expensive options for storing salt. After visiting other road commissions, the city has identified a structure with a fabric roof and precast concrete walls as a likely alternative. The original MDOT standard salt storage building was estimated to cost over $1 million. The new structure is expected to cost about 60% of that amount based on the experiences of other communities. An old budget existed previously for the salt storage building, which included anticipated MDOT participation. During the last capital budget carryover process, it was decided to not carry that budget forward and to recommend the establishment of a new one. Further, OHM has previously completed the design for the MDOT standard salt shed, and accordingly, a budget amendment is recommended for their continued design services on the new salt shed. The recommended amendment is included with the report, and it's advised that the City Commission first make a motion to approve a budget in the amount of $575,000 for a new Department of Public Works salt and sand storage structure fully funded by the DPW Building Fund, and secondarily approve a motion to approve OHM Contract Amendment Number 2 for design and bidding services associated with the structure in the amount of $15,500. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Commissioner Collins.
So in prior meetings, we talked about not having any fund balances in the past, right? So obviously this fund balance isn't actually sitting out there in cash, right? Am I correct with that?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. The DPW Building Fund is a separate fund, Fund 416 in the city's budget, and it has a reserved balance of over $900,000 that has been designated over the course of a number of years for improvements to the Public Works facility site.
So then the second question I have is this part of the CPI plan as well then, or is that $900,000 just used as kind of needed type of a thing?
Correct. So this project has been in the long-term capital improvement plan for a number of years and was included in the past budget under the old design standard, but with a change in the design standard, the new budget's being recommended.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else? Commissioner Twardy?
Yeah, just more of a comment. I think it's great that that we do have that fund for DPW, because there are a lot of improvements that need to happen down there at the garage in the area. And kudos to them for making sure that they've kept this money in reserve. And great job, Jim, and everybody that works with you and for you. Because as we move forward and we want to do these great big projects, it's nice to know that balance is sitting there and it's not going to be hitting the city's budget. So I would be more than happy to make a motion.
If you'd like to make a motion, then we'll go back to the manager after you make the motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve a budget in the amount of $575,000 for a new DPW salt sand storage structure fully funded by the DPW Building Fund.
Support. It's been supported. We'll have Jim come up after this instead of during it, okay? So are there any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Yep.
City manager?
Go ahead.
And if it pleases the commission, would invite our Public Works Director, Jim Morrow, to update the City Commission and community on their snow removal, snow maintenance.
As he's walking up, just let me
Activities.
say, on behalf of the commission, because I think we all are in agreement that we've seen a significant amount of snowfall in the last several weeks. And I think the crews have been working recently 24 hours a day. And snow removal is happening. You've done an excellent job, I think, of managing that. You know, you're looking at different areas and stuff, so I know you're going to kind of bring us up to date on that, but I know we've been getting calls, and it's just one of those things where the snow we've gotten has not gone away. So we've had no thaws whatsoever, so it's going to take some time, but you're working on it, and we do appreciate all the efforts of the street department for sure.
Well, thank you. They certainly will appreciate that.
Yeah.
They are working hard, and we got a great crew, and it's just gonna take a little time. We just had a lot of snow. We had plowable snow every day last week. Every day we had to plow snow, Monday through Friday. And as the banks get higher and higher, it gets harder and harder
They move.
to move that snow. We had no place to put it. We end up pushing the banks back, which makes everyone happy. You know, because it goes in their driveways and in their sidewalks and everything, so, we definitely feel for the, thank you. We definitely
Want to
feel
start
for.
over?
Anyway, so, I just want to say though that, you know, when we are plowing, we can't efficiently pull snow. We just don't have the equipment and the manpower to do it. But we haven't had snow in the last 3 days, so when we're not plowing, we're moving snow. And last weekend, they got most of Minneapolis done. You know, they got a lot of other smaller areas that were really tight, trying to get through. We moved the street department. They were working on 20-hour days, 210s at the street department. Last night, they went to 212, so we got 24-hour coverage there. It's 5 to 5 and 5 to 5, both shifts. And then we have a crew from the other 4 DPW sub-departments coming in. We got guys, like tonight, we got a guy from the wastewater plant, 2 guys from the wastewater plant plowing, and we had a guy from the water plant today in parks. And so if they're not working in the water plant or the wastewater plant doing what they have to do, they're in the street department in a truck. So, because we can't, 12 hours in a grader or in a loader or a dump truck that's enough. You know, people start getting tired, and if you do it, one guy I know worked close to, I think it was 14 or 15 days in a row. So you got to give them a break a little bit. So anyway, that being said, our plan, like tonight, well, today, last 24 hours, we moved, finished up Minneapolis. They did Seymour today, a good chunk of it. We have about a good half a day on that tomorrow. We got about 3/4 of it done from Easter Day to Marquette. Tonight, the night shift, which is smaller than the day shift. We only have 5 or 6 guys on nights tonight. They're doing Armory Place over by St. Mary's, which is really tight when you're coming out to Bingham there, and you can't get by if somebody's parked there. It's virtually impossible. So they're going to take care of that tonight, and they're going to widen West Portage from Ashman to Osborne. But they're not going to do a full-blown pull like we always do with the grader pulling everything out. We're just going to widen it a couple feet on each side because we're going to pull Ashman and Easter Day probably Sunday night through Tuesday. That's the plan right now. If we don't get a lot of snow, they're talking about a pretty good snow coming like Sunday night, maybe Sunday night, Monday. So we'll just play it by ear. But again, if we're plowing, we can't pull snow. We just don't have the manpower for it or the equipment. So anyway, but our goal right now is to focus on the main school routes and the localized school areas. Again, we did Minneapolis. We want to do around Lincoln School a little bit better. Do it up by Ryan, by the school up there. We're going to catch that real soon. And we did doing by St. Mary's tonight. Maple by St. Mary's seems pretty wide. We just checked that out today. That seems to be okay. We can hold off on that a little bit, but Armory was pretty
tight.
bad. And then after that, we're going to focus on like the high-speed, high-traffic areas, places where people drive like 35 miles an hour and people got to sneak out and get their car out. You know, those are just places that are just plain dangerous. We're going to take care of those places next. And then we're just hitting the locals and the residentials after that. We're going to go strictly on, we're shooting like just doing a neighborhood. Like we're going to pick like Dawson, Cary, Lyon, you know, that kind of thing. Although we did a part of Lyon because we had to along the power canal there because Cloverland called there were kids playing on the bank, and it was higher than the
fencing,
than the fence. So-
Somebody asked why they were doing the other side of
there's always-
Lion Street, because,
There's always a reason we're doing something.
yeah,
We're not
I
just
said,
throwing
there has to be a reason, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so, you know, we're not just.
That's a
"Hey,
good
that's
reason,
good
'cause-
plan. Let's do Lion Street,
yeah.
you know? Anyway,
Yeah.
so,
That's
it's been a
good
long
idea.
day, excuse me.
You're going on the wrong side, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, anyway, so, that's about it. We're gonna be, plugging away on it.
If you find, I guess just a suggestion, if you find that just pulling half of the bank on West Portage, you know, that's a fairly quick fix for now. You might want to look at the 400 block of Ashman. I think that's where it's really tight in there too. You know, the bump outs right there.
Sure.
Halfway down, and then the rest of that, it's so narrow, it's hard to get 2 cars with 2 lanes of traffic right there.
Yeah, that's a concern too. Eric Fountain, our street superintendent, was, we were discussing that today.
Okay.
His concern is where the crosswalks are.
Yes.
Because people have to actually walk right out the roadway before you see them.
Yeah.
So he's got that on his radar.
Okay, just
here,
a thought if you had,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sidewalk plow's still going. We're trying, as you know, we expanded our sidewalk plowing this year. We had probably another 7 or 8 miles to it, and it's doing great. Right now, though, we're having a hard time placing the snow for it. The banks are so high on the street side, so we blow it on there, it goes right back in the roadway. And we blow it on the customer side. We actually plugged off 2, or I think it was 4 air intakes on furnaces in the last week.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
you know, oops. Yeah. So we're trying to be very careful on
Yeah.
that. One thing I would like to ask, though, to the people doing their driveways is when we do clean a sidewalk, I notice when we get done, people plow their driveway shortly thereafter, and they'll leave a berm coming into the sidewalk. I know it's difficult. There's a lot of snow
if they
everywhere,
could just
but-
keep that out of the way, that'd be nice.
yeah, if they could just try to push the snow a little farther past the sidewalk, but hey, we're in the same boat that contractors are in, so we completely
I
understand.
agree.
So, anyway, but that's our thing. As soon as we get done doing the snow pulling, we have to start focusing on drainage. It's gonna be March here pretty soon, and that's when we start getting our thaws, and we have a lot of snow on the ground. There's as much snow on the ground now as probably 95, 96, as far as snow depth. So, and we all know our flooding areas that we have, and if we don't do something with the ditches and and the catch basins and stuff, we are going to have some localized flooding problems. So that's what we're going to be focusing on the minute we can get done plowing and pulling, so.
Thank you for the update. Excellent.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anything else?
I think the crews have done a fantastic job, and with the leadership of Jim Morrow, Eric Fountain, and Mr. Moran, just appreciate their efforts as well, the snow removal.
Okay.
That concludes the city manager's report.
Okay, excuse me.
Second motion on that
Oh,
for OHM.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve OHM contract amendment number 2 for design and bidding services associated with the salt sand storage structure.
Support.
Been moved, supported. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you for that, Commissioner Tuarty. H.
First item under status reports is an invitation to visit sister city Ryocho, Japan. So as commissioners are aware, in 1974, the city, under the leadership of Mayor Pingatore and Ryocho Mayor Hirata, entered into a sister city agreement. For over 44 years, the two cities have had student and adult exchanges occurring between each community on a regular basis, resulting in the formation of many enduring friendships between families and creating a better understanding of each other amongst our respective communities. Approximately every other year, an adult delegation from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan visits Ryocho, Japan. The city recently received an invitation from Mayor Nishida confirming an interest in Ryocho hosting a delegation from Sault Ste. Marie. Accordingly, the city is seeking interest from communities members in the event anybody would like to join the adult delegation to visit Ryocho, likely this late summer or fall. Any interested individuals are welcome to contact the city manager's office at 906-632-5705 in order to obtain further information about this sister city relationship and a future trip. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I understand they're already starting to sign up?
Correct. Possibly up to 5 or 6 interested
far.
individuals at this time.
Excellent. I think last time we had the visit last year from the folks in Ryocho, there was several new members that hosted families, and they really had a great time, I understand.
Yes, it was a great time, and we were very grateful for the participation of the host families, the supporting contributions from organizations and businesses, and just the friendship.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So if you're interested, you're going to want them to call 632-5705.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
And that concludes the status report section of the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
I, as matters presented by the public, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? Okay, we're moving right along. Item J, matters presented by the City Commission. Let me just start off by talking about the next election. I will not be running in the next election, first time in 36 years, but it's been a great run. We'll have more to talk about, I'm sure, as it gets closer to the November election. But with that, I'd certainly like to thank the past commissions that I've been associated with. They've been all very good, and this one is certainly no exception. We wish everybody well, but at this point, that's all I have to say. So, thank you. Thank you all for your support over the years. Commissioner Miller.
I want to say thank you for your service for all these years. I remember when you were on the school board and on the commission, and you've been our mayor for how many years?
18.
18 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sure. Also, Senator Peters was here. Since Senator Gary Peters was here on Saturday, Sunday, Friday, I think, also Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Busy schedule. We met at 1668 Winery with the city and the EDC and the schools. A number of EDC, a number of people were there. A very nice turnout. I don't know what his actual itinerary was, but I know he ended up at the Coast Guard, Lake Superior State University. The hockey game that night, he dropped the puck on Saturday. Nice game. Brought us some good luck because that was the first Saturday that Lake State has won at home all year there. I don't even tell you what the record is. I know what it is, but we'll not mention it because going forward, we like to win the next home series against Ferris, which is in 2 weeks' time because they're at Northern now, and hopefully make the NCAA tournament eventually. But Senator Peters, if we remember, was one of the people responsible, and maybe the person responsible for the $20.7 million that we got for the Carbide Dock and Easterday Avenue. He met with Secretary Chow individually, personally, and talked about the situation here with the Sioux Locks and the Sea-Free Lake Superior States project. So that all went very well. Thanks to Linda Basista, again, for her assistance and her staff of 1 or 2 people, Angie in particular, that works along with Linda, but did an exceptional job partnering with a number of organizations to submit the application for the bridge loan, or I'm sorry, the Build Michigan, or just Build Grant, the federal Build Grant that got us the $20.7 million, which is the largest grant that I think we've received in this community, maybe ever, but at least in my tenure. So we do appreciate those efforts very much. Anything else? Commissioner Baker.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the DDA, Justin Epper and Lindsay, for the outhouse races this weekend downtown. It was a great day, ton of fun, lots of people out and about downtown, so it was nice to see. And thanks to the DPW and Jim and for clearing the roads, because I went to Lansing last week on Tuesday and they had everything shut down and there was barely 2 inches of snow on the ground. So I think we're a little spoiled up here for how well they do. So with the amount of snow we got, I think they're doing a fantastic job, so thank you.
And there was a suggestion I might mention too, that during the outhouse races, we may want to close that Portage Strip. And we did that, I think, before, and we ran it right on the road, but the traffic is so intense during that time. There are children around, and they get a little bit careless running between cars and that kind of thing, but some, at least the DDA may want to consider. I know the businesses maybe would like to see the traffic at least parked on the street, but when you park on the street, then it creates more congestion and you can't see between cars and stuff. So and there's a lot of activity going back and forth across streets. So just a suggestion, but I'll let them deal with that next year. Okay. Anyone else? Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.